Hello, everyone, and welcome to the March edition of the Imizizi Conversations. My name is Yolisa Tshabalala, and I'll be your host for today. I am the co-founder and director of Imizizi, and we are a people management and advisory firm. And we specialize in giving value to our clients in the people space. And we use Imizizi Conversations really just to talk about anything people related so that we can all grow and be inspired together. In this edition, we are still under the theme called if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. And we are wrapping up this month with a lovely, lovely lady. I'll introduce her very shortly. But she has given us a topic called Adapting to Change When Events Disrupt Our Plans. So in previous editions in March and February, we talked about planning. What is it that you do when you're planning? And today we're going to be focusing about real, conversations, real life examples from someone who's made it in life, in the business world, a very powerful businesswoman that who inspires me so much because also we were both in the Bold Verve Clicker Bold Woman Awards, and she was the winner for 2022 and I was a finalist. So I take much inspiration from this lady. Anyway, without delaying much, I'd like to introduce you guys to our guest for today, the lovely Gugu Sithole, who is the co-founder of Glamping Adventures. But as you know, I don't like butchering people's intro. Gugu, please introduce yourself to our guest.
Hello, everyone. Hello to you. Thank you so much for having me, Yolisa, and that wonderful introduction.
Yeah.
When you said someone who's made it in life, I was like, oh my gosh.
Of course you have.
We are pushing, we are trying this life thing. Hey, we
Yeah.
are making it, but we see as we go.
Yeah.
But of course we just don't see as we go. We plan.
Of course.
For things that we want and
Yeah.
how we want our businesses to go at the end of the day. So like you've said, I am Gugu Sithole, the co-founder of Glamping Adventures. We are an experiences company. We curate unique stays, around South Africa in the region. So most of our clientele are, FITs, which is, your individual travelers, solos with families as well, or corporates who come to us and say, I don't want your normal hotel, or a corporate that says, I don't want your normal conference. I want like a different retreat, like something unique that's never been done, like in terms of the accommodation and the structure of the whole thing. So that is what we do. We have fixed departures, with groups, and we also have flexible dates for those people that cannot join groups, but they want to go with their own given time. We set up tents at various locations across South Africa. And we also have partnered with permanent glamping establishments also around South Africa. So those are the facilities that we use for the people that are wanting to go, on their own at their own time.
Yeah.
Because setting up camp, requires a minimum number of people.
Yeah.
So that's who we are. We are about. We've almost become a lifestyle movement, but also it wasn't planned. It was when we started, we wanted to start a travel company that would allow the majority of untraveled South Africans to be able to enjoy South Africa and her beauty, because we all know that travel has always been associated with the wealthy, and so there's so much there's so much exclusion, so to say, you know, and we wanted, you know, South Africans to experience their own backyard. But, you know, then came the stories, you know, around those campfires as to why people travel, you know, heartwarming stories, you know, stories of victory, you know, where people come from and what led. You know, some people say I was actually on my last legs when I decided to come on this trip. I'd given up on everything, you know, to come together with like-minded people.
Yeah.
You know, realizing that I'm not alone in my struggles in life and all of that. So the whole aspect of the movement came when I noticed that we need support as people. We need to lean on each other. So then the plans started coming together of creating this lifestyle movement of people that just want to traverse this beautiful country of ours. Yeah.
Wow. Like, I feel like I was already mesmerized. I felt like I'm already on the experience, you know. I can only imagine, you know, when you went through campfire, you know, sitting around the fire, tents all around, and I'm just like telling stories, sharing experiences with other people as well. So it's not just about traveling, but also the experience once you get there. And I think when I first met you and first learned about your business, it made so much sense to me because I thought about myself back then. I used to always have a mentality that traveling is for rich people, like you said. You know, a lot of people think you need to save up a lot of money, but I think there's been a movement as well in terms of travel stokvels. You know, a lot of people are getting into it, and I think there's now packages whereby you can pay monthly, you know, leading up to your trip, which is also another way where you don't have to have this big lump sum. You know, I think there's a lot of good that you're doing.
It makes a difference for people. You know, a person wants to travel in December, or you know, whenever they want to travel, and you know, to start paying it off a bit, because some people are not disciplined to say I'll save up, you know. So for them to sort of like secure their spot with us and then pay at their own pace, you know, really allows a lot more people to
start traveling. That's amazing. That's amazing. Before we dive deep into the plan, there's something else that I was hoping you're going to mention. You did mention it briefly about, you know, partnering with the locals in the some of the rural areas where you set up camp. Just, you know, tell our viewers, you know, how do you partner with the locals?
So, you know, Yoli, because of what we do, so it's the labor aspect of it. You know, it's like really labor intense, the setting up of camps and. So it started as I have my core team that I live with from Johannesburg. But when we get to these various sites, we still then would get community members, you know, to come and help set up these tents. We'll get women to come help us, you know, in the kitchen, washing dishes, you know, helping with meal preps. We will get, you know, the guys that guide to take our guests to, whether it be hiking, whether it be river rafting, whatever it is that we, you know, is part of the package, and activity that's part of the package. But it, you know, there was this thing that I still felt I needed to do more because we travel around the country, so we're not in that place for long. And when I get calls like, "Hi, Gugu, when are you coming back to the Drakensberg?" You know, when we are around, we get jobs. And I realized that I needed to do more than just getting jobs when Glamping Adventures is around. We need to find a sustainable, you know, way for the community members to be able to sustain themselves, you know, using these tourism assets that, you know, they sit within.
Yeah.
So I think that is when then the plans started to train communities, you know, in film, funny enough, which is another passion of mine.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of people at first say, but what has tourism got to do with film? You know, but we use film as a tool, you know, to promote this tourism assets.
And tell a story
And tell
about the areas, I
you
can
know.
imagine. Yeah.
Exactly. So they are trained in filmmaking, in, you know, scripting, filming, editing, packaging these stories and monetizing them.
Yeah.
You know, we use them in digital platforms. They become web series.
Yeah.
But also, I mean, it's a whole ecosystem, because now we've got filmmakers within the communities. But also, when you visit a place, don't you want to take a piece of the place with you? You know?
Yeah.
So we've got ladies that are doing arts and crafts, that are making things to sell, and they depend on tourists, you know. So then we said these guys will be then responsible for creating, you know, stories around the making of these of these you know, arts and crafts, and ensure that it goes out, they get sold. So they are not only now waiting for the tourists to come, we are now putting these on digital platforms, so even people that have not been able to come, they will be able to buy those. So it's a project that's very close to my heart, to see people, you know, gaining from these tourism assets, because unfortunately it is the big multinationals that gain from these, leaving the destitute communities around, you know, just being spectators in the whole, you know, tourism space.
Yeah.
So we say, let us include everybody.
Yeah.
You know, so that's just you know, small way of doing, of trying to get them to be included in this tourism pie.
That's so inspiring, guys. Like, if you're not inspired, I don't know. Like, I find so much power in what you're doing, because you're not only impacting a few people, but it's like you're spreading your roots, you know, everywhere. And I'm sure a lot of people now have sustainable, you know, jobs. They're not only looking at you, like you said, you know. And with the high unemployment rate in South Africa, that's making a difference.
That's making a huge difference. We are busy with a short series called Traveling Again, and we are getting the pool, you know, of skills from these very young people that you know, have been trained. So we are able to say, we won't make it to the Free State side or the KZN side. You go, please. These are the type of shots we need. This is what we need. And the guys are producing high quality stuff, and they're getting paid for it.
Wow.
You know, which is amazing. So so you see, it's sustainable. You know, they're able to package these things. And also, I mean, the guides as well. When we are not in the Drakensberg, it doesn't mean that they are not working, because we have people that say to us, I want to travel on this particular date, not with your group. And then we're able to say, hey, when you get there, contact this person. They'll be able to take you to the various excursions that you want. So
that's
yeah,
powerful.
Really.
So guys, I'm sure Gugu will leave her details at the end of the conversation. If you're planning to travel, now you have a hookup. So Gugu, I just want to take a step back.
All right.
Because now you are this powerful, successful woman. But you know, what's your journey? Just tell me, even pre-matric, even, you know, as a young child growing up, what were your plans? What were you aspiring to achieve as that young girl? And where did you grow up?
So I was born in KZN, Mondlo. It's in northern KZN.
Yeah.
A small town village. I don't know what to call it actually. I think it looks a lot more different than it was.
Yeah.
When you were growing
Yeah.
up.
I've never
But,
heard of Imond.
yeah. Imond is a very small Nkandla side, so it's rural. KZN.
Yeah.
And so during my formative years, I was raised by my grandmother, who was a force, so I knew then that I wanted to be in business at some point in my life, because I watched her. My grandmother was a dressmaker, and who was referred to as Gogo Tungayo. People knew her as that.
The local hookup
the local
for dressmaking,
But nobody really looked at her as a businesswoman.
Those are the real ones, actually.
Was feeding her family and looking after, community members. And I think that's where I took this, this passion from. So she tells me, she would tell me before she passed on, that I once tried to leave KZN on my own as a child. So we had uncle and aunt coming to visit for the holidays.
Yeah.
And when they were leaving, they looked for me. They couldn't find me, and eventually they were told, just leave, we'll search for this child before you miss your bus. And they left. And to their surprise, at the bus stop, because who they found.
That sounds like like those MacGyver movies.
Yeah.
How did you do that?
So they found little Gugu at the bus stop carrying those
briefcase.
Checkers, a plastic bag.
Yo,
I said, okay. Yeah.
My goodness.
Yeah. Full of clothes,
Yeah.
And I was
you had a plan, girl.
I had a plan.
Gugu comes to Joburg.
Gugu comes to Joburg, And my uncle would say to me, but the way you were so irritated, like, where have you been? Like, darling in Mele, I've been waiting for you guys. Yeah, we're going to miss the bus.
Yeah.
They're like, no, you're not going anywhere. Because they're like, where are you going? I'm like, yeah, go.
And age-wise?
I was 3.
Oi. How did it happen? Did you hide?
So I think, family, it's a big family. We're all in the house, excitement.
Yeah.
And I just took a plastic bag,
put your clothes,
and I knew that I was going to Joburg. I wanted to see this Johannesburg, the city of lights that everybody was talking about.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I never made it to Johannesburg then, but
for young Gugu, for young Gugu back then.
Gugu,
yeah.
Even now, it's a family joke.
Yeah.
Every time my uncle sees me, he'll be like, hey. So like finally,
you've made it.
Yeah. So I think when I think of such stories, I think it was almost like written in the stars that I'll end up, in the travel space. Even though it took me a long time, to get to where I am in terms of travel, because I would later come to Johannesburg to live with my mother, when she'd found a job and she was working, so she came back for my sister and I. And
so you did eventually make it to Joburg. Were you still at school, or were you at tertiary at the time?
I was still at school. I was 10 years old.
Okay.
Yeah, so when I my sister and I moved to join my mother in Soweto.
Okay. So
Soweto is still what I call home as well.
Yeah.
So KZN and Soweto, because the most part of my life was spent
in Soweto.
In Soweto.
Yeah.
I sort of like took on like even leadership roles, at school. I think those prepared me for my journey now. you know, in terms of starting to map out my life. You know, I did it very early on in life, and I was very intentional about how I would get to where I am, like business wise.
Yeah.
You know, I knew that I needed to work. I wanted to work for corporate for a number of years, you know, to learn the skill, to you know, to equip myself, and you know, and surround myself with people that have been, you know, that are doing business. So I knew very well that I was not going to finish school and straight on start, you know,
The business.
the
Yeah.
business.
Yeah.
So I worked in corporate South Africa, doing events. So I did corporate events, marketing, brand, before I then decided
To start your
to
business.
start my own business.
So you never had like one of those, like, one day I want to be a doctor. You never had that stage as a young girl growing up.
I wanted to be a lawyer.
Is it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I wanted to be a lawyer. At some point, I wanted to be a politician as well.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
Like, oh my
we
God.
go through the cycles.
Yeah. And I think when I finished high school, then I needed to then make a decision. I remember going to my mom and I'm like, so I've decided I am going to take a gap year. Like, what is that? You are going to
Like, that's unheard of, right?
Yeah.
With our parents, like, gap
know,
who?
Gap what? Like,
Like,
awufuna isikolo kahle, you know?
Yeah.
And I decided I was going to take a gap year and travel, you know, get a job, you know. So I'd actually gotten a job when I went to her.
Yeah.
You know, and I told her I'm going to the US. I found a job.
Yeah.
And you know, funny enough, it was my grandmother and my mother who said to me, if this is what you want, you know, go for it. And of course, after interrogating me, after making sure it was legit and that I'd be safe and it was the bigger, you know, family dynamics that came to play. Who do we know overseas?
Yeah.
What is she doing? Don't let her go.
I mean,
it's irresponsible.
matric, you're 18 years
I
old.
was 18. It's irresponsible. But it's those two women, you know, who I say are bold women in their own right, that said to me, you're going to go for it. And my grandmother said, I knew this was going to happen.
Wow.
You know, because of your utandi strata, utandi ndlela, you know. And they allowed me to go. And I think also then, you know, subconsciously, you know, this travel thing. So it was always there. But never did I think that it would be the business that I, you know, end up, you know, going into.
That is so powerful, that statement. Because I think a lot of people actually, when we say plan, they think a plan is always like this.
Yeah.
Like from point A to point B to point C.
Yeah.
It's always, whereas life journey is always like, along the way.
Know? And that's exactly what happened. I spent a year overseas. I came back, and then I decided that I wanted to study and I wanted to go into PR, marketing, and that's what I did. So I think, I'm not sure where in that whole journey the law, like I forgot about.
You forgot about it, but you came back inspired.
Yeah.
And I think life has a way of sort of crafting us, if you allow.
Exactly.
If you allow the change to sort of craft your next steps. And I think that's what happened with you. Because if I think about myself as well, I actually studied accounting. I think for me, growing up, you know, there was a period or a phase where chartered accountants were the it.
Yes.
You know? And there was a shortage, especially female chartered accountants. And I thought to myself, I'm going to be a chartered accountant. And fine, I followed that route. High school, that was the stream I chose. Varsity, that's what I studied. And then while studying, you know, there's vacation work,
Yes.
right? Then you get exposed. And chartered accountancy is like auditing, auditing intense, you know. Yes, there's the, what do they call it? Practicing outside and inside. So you can go to banks or corporate, or you can be a chartered accountant for auditing firms. So for me, I was with auditing firms. I tell you, that told me straight away that this is not for you. It's not the direction. But guess what? I still had to finish the degree. You know, I still had to finish the degree, then along the way found my passion. Anyway, I know I can deviate. Today is not about me.
It's an amazing story though, because I like when you say I still had to finish my degree. So you finished what you started, and then carried on.
Yes,
it was a detour.
A detour,
so to say.
And there's lessons along the way, because we plan, but if it's like, this is not exactly what I wanted, you change the plan.
Life happens as well. So we need to adapt.
Yeah. So at the point of leaving your job now, where you were in corporate events, right? Yes. Corporate events and marketing.
Yes, correct.
So how did you plan the move, like the actual jump? What were the steps that you took before, or did events, you know, force you in that direction? What happened?
So my first business, this is my second business, was events management. So I started an events management company. And you know, I was so before I left, you know, my job, I started doing small things like on the side. You know, I'm talking baby showers, weddings. You know, I did a lot of weddings, and you know, trying to just gauge the market. You know, and also just trying to see what type of events I enjoy. You know, and I realized that I did not really enjoy weddings and parties and all of that. I wanted to do strictly corporate events. You know, so I approached a corporate, and I said to them, you know, I am still full-time employed. This is what I would like to do for you as a company. If you would give me that opportunity, then I will leave my job. So I went there and I said, if you would put me on a retainer, I want to do this. Give me that opportunity. Invest in me. You know, sometimes we think that
what a bold step.
You know, we think that it's not attainable. Sometimes you will find that one person who is willing to listen to you.
You won't know until you ask.
You won't know until you ask. And I asked a lot of people, and a lot of them. I think when I asked this particular company, it was probably my 20th or whatever, and everybody had turned me down. You know, so it was like, okay, we are looking for somebody to do what you're doing. So we'll start you off, you know, on a little contract like this. And then I went back to my to the organization that I was working for. But also I had a very good relationship with them as well. I remember I was at the peak of my career. I was managing brand and events for Africa and Middle East. And I mean, I remember everybody around me said, what are you doing? Why do you even want to quit such a good job? You know, business can be uncertain. You are risking it. And I was just like, this is it. You know, I'm making the jump.
It's that conviction, you know, inside.
Now. You know, I remember going to my boss. It was around, I think it was around Feb, and we due for bonuses in July. And I said to her, I I'll give you time to find a replacement, because it's not like I'm rushing to go to another company, so I have time.
Yeah.
But I want it like by June, I'm done.
Yeah.
Remember I saying to me, no, but then bonus is in July, you're gonna miss bonus. I was like, it's okay. It's
Yeah.
okay. But
Yeah.
I'm giving you about 4 months, you know, to find somebody, train and I'm gonna go. And because of those relationships, but also because of how I approached the whole thing, boom, she came back to me a couple of
Let you
replace
go.
you. Your company is going to do what you've been doing. I was just like, what?
2 contracts in the bag.
2 contracts
Yeah.
in the bag. Now I can go.
Wow.
You know. But also, it didn't just happen. I think it's harnessing relationships. You know. And ensuring that, I mean, my workspace you know, was I was fortunate that I enjoyed what I was doing, but also I worked with people that I really, really liked. So even though we had differences here and there, but I'm a very good communicator. I'm able to I don't avoid, you know, confrontations and so therefore I had managed to surround myself with people who respect me and my views.
Yeah.
So it was very easy for me to sort of like, you know, try and negotiate for what I want.
There's so many powerful things that you've mentioned. Sorry to cut you there. I think from the beginning, you know, you mentioned that it was not just a move. You had to plan. You first tried out a couple of things to, you know, what is it that I actually like out of this? And the planning, you know, around, because people do it in different ways, by the way. We can't dictate this is the only way, because it was different even for us at Imizizi, even though it was a bit abrupt. I jumped. I left my corporate job. What I was going to get, I think it was 60% less than my corporate salary. All we had was a contract. And because we're in the people space, we started with temporary employment services, where we have contractors in IT. And there was none in the books. And I just left like that, you know. But there's different ways. But there's so many lessons in what you did, in terms of planning. You know, that you don't, because a lot of people get scared, you know, to make that jump. If you feel that you're the type of person who's risk averse, there's nothing wrong with it. You can plan around it, you know, get those contracts while you're working full time in corporate still. I like that. And I also like, you know, what you mentioned about the fact that they said we won't let you go. That says a lot about you. That says a lot about what you did within the company as well, which is the plus. And I mean, the lesson there is, even though you know that you have other plans, you don't have to now drop the ball where you are. You're still working towards your goal. You're building your own brand, because you are a brand. For them to give you that contract, it was because Gugu is a brand, right? And I'm sure till today they know that, you know what, that lady left a trail. Sorry to have cut you. You can continue.
So I carried on with the events business for so I did that was in 2015. And then there was also that thing also, though, at the back of my mind, you know, that I wanted to do more. You know, I mentioned earlier on that I saw my grandmother, you know, working with people, you know, around us in the communities, being that carer, that nurturer, and giving. She didn't have much, but she was always giving and, you know, sort of like building, you know, the community. And I loved that about her, and I didn't know what it was then, but I just loved it, you know. I would see the same, you know, with my mom. My mom was a school teacher. My mom had so many children that she adopted from school.
Yeah.
You know, providing toiletries at the end of the month. You know, giving her time. Our home became an extension of the school.
So this is in your DNA.
Yeah. So I saw that as well, and it's sort
Yeah.
of like there was this niggling feeling that I still want to do more. Yes, I'm doing my events and I'm content, but there's still something that I wanted to do to be able to uplift communities.
Yeah.
And I mean, and it came to me in one day. It just came to me, and I said to myself, what is it that I love with all my heart? You know, and the answer was traveling. You know, so then I was like, then I can use travel as a tool to empower, you know,
Yeah.
communities, especially women in communities. So in 2019, I would then decide on starting Glamping Adventures, you know, the travel
So
company.
Glamping Adventures was founded in 2019. The
2019.
first business 2015.
Yes.
Sure, yeah. That's also another lesson, by the way, that sometimes it's not your first business that makes it.
Yes.
But never stop trying, because if you're convicted within yourself that you are a businesswoman, you know, then go for it.
Yeah.
Try as many times as it takes. There'll always be that one.
Of
Yeah.
course, you know, and then 2019, I'm going full force now. I'm going to go into the travel space. But I'm going to focus on impact travel. So working with communities was the most important thing for me. So start Glamping Adventures 2019, and things are working, you know. But how we started was okay. Again, how do we get into it? We are going to be glamping, so equipment wise, you know. Remember how I started was okay. Let me put out an advert for a trip, and let's see how it goes. Put out the advert, and I get 20 people for that particular trip. You know, I went and bought 5 tents, and they were not enough, of course.
Yeah.
And found a place that hires tents, and I got the remainder. Came back, advertised the next trip. It's now 40 people.
Wow.
I went and bought 5 more tents, which were not enough. Now I've got 10 tents. I'm still trying this thing out, you know. I'm not gonna go full force, and you know, like in terms of investment now, you know. The next trip, you know, also 40. So with each trip, the profit that I make, I put it back into the business, buying equipment, you know, from tents, beds, furniture, and soon enough we were traveling the country. We had like an annual calendar where people could choose, you know, what tickled their fancy, you know, the type of places that they want to go to, and then that would launch, you know, the Glamping Adventures Foundation, that is then now taking care of all the projects that I talked about, that are within the community.
On that, I've got 2 questions. You know, when you started, at the point of starting, you know, the planning that you made, obviously you had to go easy.
Yes.
And that was intentional.
Yes.
You know, what other things did you think about, you know, at the point of now moving from this other business into this new one, the type of things that you had to think about, you know, that I'm going to need this and this and that, and your vision, you know, for the future, and how you carried it through? Just nuggets, not a lot. Just small nuggets.
So, for me, you know, the previous business was into offering a service. You know, I had no inventory.
Yes.
So this one required that I have inventory. I had savings, of course, from my previous business.
Yes.
But this was a different entity, new entity that had 0 in the bank, and I wanted it to sort of like finance itself and not depend on the other entity.
One. Yeah.
So so the plan was slowly, buy 5 tents at a time. When you get back the little profit that you've made,
invest it back
into the business. So it was a gradual growth, but also it was very intentional, it was very strategic, still testing the market, as well.
Yeah. And if we say, fast forward a year into starting the business, would you say that from you planning to say, I'm going to do this, did the plans turn out the way you had planned them? Or
not at all.
Yeah.
6 months into the business, COVID struck.
2019
September, we had our first trip. March, lockdown.
Shutdown.
Yes.
Lockdown.
Yes. So we are cancelling trips. People are panicking. You've got money in the bank.
You are also panicking.
We are panicking. Because now you've got money in the bank that people have paid, and you're looking at your healthy-ish bank balance, and now the people are saying, we would like our money back, please. Now I have to negotiate new terms with suppliers as well. Remember, I've paid in advance.
My goodness.
At these various establishments that we go to, they've got their own set of rules as well. No, you will not get your money back. You must postpone. But it was confusion. Everybody was confused, and nobody had lived through a pandemic like this, and nobody had sort of like known.
You couldn't have planned for it.
There was no way.
Couldn't have. That's like there is no activity.
There's no way
for nobody, not just you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I'm saying it was just confusing. Confusion all around. So that like really threw us off, big time, and we really had to re-strategize. We had to rethink how we were going to proceed going forward. We are sitting at home doing nothing. We've got staff members that are looking,
and the tourism industry was hard hit. It was one of the top industries that were hit hard. We were all hit hard, but I think the tourism
the
one.
On the tourism, was harder. So like all those factors. It was just like, okay, what do we do now? I remember like small things like saying to the team, we need to check on each other. Like even though we are not traveling, we are not working, we need to have a Monday check-in, see how everybody's doing, but also sort of like, let's come together with ideas. What can we do now? And then things would change, but also for the better, because now we're sitting there, we're saying, okay, we can't travel. The provincial borders are closed, at that point, but we can have some activity where we are. So we are in Gauteng, as long as it's outdoors and it's 50 people and less. And we said, okay, we have never ventured into your day hikes. How about we try these day hikes and see how they'll go, but we still package them in your glamping style. So if you come hike with us, the hike will include guides that will take you on these hikes, that will be with you every step of the way. It'll include meals after the hike. We'll observe COVID protocols. We'll picnic. On it's the outdoors, and
And everyone was desperate for outdoors at that time. Because we had been indoors for too long.
So you put up that ad for a hike, and within a day we're fully booked. We couldn't take more than 50 people. And so those would bring,
Some income.
some income. Our guys would work as well. They'd get a chance to also get out of their homes just to do something. So that was a detour of some sort, but it actually ended up being used as a marketing tool, because even the people that came to hike with us,
That's
it
smart.
would be their first encounter with us,
Yeah.
and we would go all out
Yes.
in terms of service, in terms
Yeah.
of showing them who we are, and then they would feed into the weekend glamps.
Yeah.
Now they know us, they've seen us, they've experienced our service. It would be easy for them to say, I am going to put my money in there. Remember, we're a new brand as well.
Yeah.
And sometimes people are not trusting, and understandably so. Who is this person that we're putting our money into, and.
Yeah.
So now these day hikes, people will invest a little for the day hikes to come see
And build the
who
trust.
we are and build the trust, and then it would feed into the.
That was so smart,
Yeah.
Gugu.
Yeah.
Like, and I think it's all about reinventing yourself, right? Rethinking. Okay, now the plans that I have, zilch out the window.
Out the window,
There's not
yeah.
even 10% yana I
Yay.
can leverage from the planning that I've done.
Yep.
And I think
Yep.
that's just to show everyone that sometimes things, or let me say life happens.
Yep.
And it's not according to what we've planned.
Definitely
And
not.
it's about, when those events or those moments happen, how do you reinvent yourself? How do you pivot? How do you now say replan? Replanning, rethinking, reinventing, the whole
Imizizi,
time. But I think part of planning also helps, and I love how you collaborated with the team. Because sometimes people sit in their own shell, they're like, Yazini, I've been retrenched, because it's not all about business.
Yeah.
It could be someone who's lost a job,
Yep. Yep.
and it's such a depressing state to be
It
in
is.
if you've lost your job, But it's so important to get out of that shell, to say, what skills do I have?
Yeah.
What else can I do?
Yeah.
And that's when the ideas come,
That's
right?
when
From
the
your
ideas come.
Monday check-ins.
Exactly.
That's when the ideas came.
Exactly. I was going
That's amazing.
mad. I was going crazy. It
Yeah.
wasn't out of, my sheer brightness.
Yeah.
I was going mad. I was going crazy. And I said to myself, how many other people
Are going through the same.
through the same thing?
Yeah.
Let me then see if this will work. Because it was anxiety.
Yeah.
And also it was brought on, because anxiety was brought on by how many people actually depend on you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you're a business owner, it's not just about you.
No.
In fact, it's never about
It's
you.
never.
Vusi Thembekwayo released a video recently, I think it was in Jan or something like that, where he was talking about who gets paid first. And the reality is that as the business owner, you are there, last on the list.
And at that time, the business wasn't even paying
Yeah.
me. It couldn't afford to pay me.
Yeah.
It couldn't.
And at that time, who do you think about? The people who are asking for their money. Because they've paid. Those are the
paid,
people to pay first.
To pay first,
Yeah.
We that's when negotiation skills came in as well. Now going back to those paid, to nicely ask, please, can you not cancel? Please postpone your trip.
Yeah.
We had a lot, majority of our guys said we are not cancelling or postpone. We had those that had, their own issues as well, affected by
financially as well.
COVID, financially as well, that would come and say, I would have loved not to cancel, but I need the money back. And I was so proud that we managed to pay everybody back who had paid, and keep those, that decided to travel later. And when we could travel again, and we started slotting in people, and we traveled again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And tell me, I might be diverting a little bit, but it's still within the topic. I just want to pick on, because we're talking about planning, right? And it's not always smooth. And I think the whole intent and purpose of today's conversation is the fact that in the real world, you know, a lot of things happen in between. Can you give us any examples where you maybe perhaps might have missed an opportunity because you didn't plan enough? You know, I have a lot of examples on my side. And there's a phrase, actually, I learned that phrase. There's a lady I love very much. Pastor Mancha. You know, I first heard this from her. It says, opportunity meets preparation. If you are not prepared, you know, the opportunity will pass you. And I think I've missed a couple of opportunities because of lack of planning or unpreparedness. And it could be anything small, even in your career, you know, where it's like someone says it's the perfect opportunity for you. I know you can do this. But because you haven't done that one certificate, you know, to upskill yourself, and the requirement is that you need to, entry level, you know, or entry requirements, sorry. Entry requirements is that you need to have this, you know, and it's a missed opportunity, and sometimes it's, you know, an awesome opportunity, even in business. I mean, sometimes a client will say, you know what, I need this from you, which is also in line with what you are doing. But due to, sometimes I wouldn't say it's really lack of planning, but more preparation. I think as small businesses, if we are real a lot, there's a lot of constraints financially, capacity-wise, especially those who are on their own as a one-man show. And sometimes you have to let some business deals go by. You know, we've partnered with a lot of people on our side who are in the same industry. So we pass those opportunities where we don't have capacity. So any examples that you can give on your side?
You know, sometimes we procrastinate as well. That is also part of failing to plan. You know, and I've missed, you know, an opportunity because of not signing up to industry bodies. You know, and I remember there's this concession that I really wanted. And the deadlines were tight, but it was doable if you had all the paperwork. I didn't have the paperwork. It broke my heart because I had all the application forms on my desk, and I was going to get to it. I'm going to get to it, and then this opportunity comes, and I'm unable to. It broke my heart because once I did it, it literally took... It didn't take a lot of time. And I said to myself, had I done this, you know, I would be part of this concession right now, you know. So, I learned a very
hard lesson
there, you know.
And do you still procrastinate, if you're being honest?
Yes.
I think there's a certain level of what's the word? I don't want to say comfort levels because you know yourself. Like for instance, for me, I work a lot at night. Like in the morning, I start slow. But I know at night, if I have to do something, and there's just, I love adrenaline, you know, like there's just something that pushes me and I get more creative if, you know, which is not good also. Because then you sleep late, the next morning you're tired and all of that. But sometimes I still do it. You know, where I'm just like, I'll get to it, I'll get to it. And then 8 o'clock, I don't have a choice anymore.
Then you must.
You have to do it.
Julie,
you know?
I am exactly like you. You know, my mornings are slow. You know, kekeleza sometimes. You know, and then this time is when I'm on fire.
Yeah.
Like the afternoons,
Yes.
late afternoons, until very late into the evening.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a habit, it's a pattern that I am working very hard in sort of like trying to stop that.
Yeah.
I've realized that I wake up very tired because I wake right into the evening. And so the cycle.
Yeah.
You know.
But I loved what you said. I zoomed into that. I loved
Yeah.
what you said in terms of what's this procrastination is also part of failing to plan.
It is.
You know, and I think I just want to talk about other events in your life besides COVID, you know, that sort of disrupted your life. You know, because I think COVID, we can all of us can relate, you know, and for some time it was the only topic, you know, even post-COVID, because the ripple effect affected all of us. But in life, there's so many things that happen that disrupt, you know. And I think even in the previous conversation, when I was speaking with our business coach, Janet, and she mentioned how she had plans that post-matric, this is what she's going to do, blah, 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 blah. And the dad left at that time. At the same time, and how, you know, but that was her story. Those who want to listen to it, I would advise that you go back to it. That was our February edition of the Imizizi conversation. Some powerful nuggets.
A beautiful conversation.
Did you watch?
I watched. You know,
That's amazing.
Like,
yeah.
Wow, I need to speak to this lady.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Very powerful there. Yeah. So to answer you, yes. One particular example was a trip to Kofi Bay. So got a truck that transports all the tents, the equipment that goes the day before. So the guys will get there and set up, you know, before the guests arrived, you know, because when they arrive, they must find everything fully set up, fully finished, tents and all of that. I was in Berlin at that time, and the guys were involved in a car accident. The truck overturned and staff, you know, some staff members were rushed to hospital, and there I am in Berlin feeling helpless, you know, but also it was an important lesson on planning again, you know, because then I had no systems to say, should we be in an accident? We operated on, we are always going there, we'll get there. You know?
And you had always gotten there previously.
We'd always gotten there, you know. But also the roads, we know the risk when you travel, there's that risk. And there was no plan, there was no recovery plan, you know. And I think by the grace of God, you know, I managed to get a replacement truck, and some staff were in hospital, but when we got there, the staff that was okay recruited within the communities, which we always do, but instead of 4 people, it was 10 people. We needed to get the ship going. And the guys pulled it off without me. I'm not there at that time, and the guests didn't even pick it up. I think they only picked it up because some had visible
scars,
you know, scars and, you know, and stuff. But the guys operated on adrenaline. It was crazy because the entire long weekend, they gave the service that, you know, our guests have come accustomed to, and everything went smoothly. It was when they got back to Joburg, everybody crashed. That's when I was arranging hospitals, checkups, and but it was a huge lesson for me that we need a recovery plan, and we have since put together a process of what happens, you know, when such a thing happens.
That's a powerful lesson, and I think there's a lot that everybody can learn from that. We are running out of time, but before we say goodbye to you, I think just anything that you want to say to our viewers as parting words in relation to this topic. And I think everybody, I hope you enjoyed as much as I did. I'm inspired. Firstly, you tell stories very beautifully. You know, I'm so intrigued by, you know, your story. And I think how you run the business and how you've planned and how you reshape and reinvent yourself, you know, through the experiences that we talked about. But any parting words for our viewers?
So I'd say, you know, the entrepreneurship journey is beautiful. It is not easy.
That's true.
But if you just start, you know, plan on starting, and surround yourself with people that have similar, you know, values, you know, people that you look up to. I always say that there is so much power in networks.
Yeah.
You know, get people that are in the same industry, get a mentor, but surround yourself with people. It takes you very far, because you know, people come with ideas. Collaborations are born out of, you know, conversations around what you are trying to do.
Yeah.
So power in networking, never ever underestimate that.
That's powerful. That's powerful. And I think one of the big lessons that I've learned today is that you always have to plan, but it doesn't have to be perfect.
It doesn't have to.
You know, you don't have to over plan, because sometimes people over plan and they never start because they want it to be perfect. Yeah, yeah. And we just want to leave you guys with that, you know, with that nugget. Gugu, how do people get a hold of Glamping Adventures?
We are on glamping-adventures.co.za. If you need to email us to get any information about our upcoming fixed departures, or if you simply just want to travel on your own at your own time, you can email us on info@glamping-adventures.co.za. Our work cell phone number is also 073-144-9159. You can WhatsApp us there as well.
Thank you so much, Gugu, you know, for being our guest today. Really appreciate your time. I know you're a very busy woman. And thank you so much for sharing a piece of yourself with us. To our viewers, until we meet next month, we will be releasing the theme for the next quarter as well as our first topic for the month. Please watch out for those communication on our social media pages. Remember, we are Imizizi SA on all platforms. Thanks, everyone. Bye.